It was a peaceful morning in Abokobi, a small town in Ghana. The air smelled of roasted corn and grilled fish from the street vendors setting up for the day. The sun was warm and the town square was busy, but something new was about to change everything. Right next to Kumasi Junction, where you could always find taxi drivers, hawkers, and school kids, there was a strange ATM. No one knew who put it there. Some people said it was the chief of the town. Others said it was a group of rich businessmen, but no one knew for sure. What made this ATM so strange wasn't just that it was there. It was the money it gave out. No matter the time of day, no matter what, the ATM was always full of fresh, crisp notes. While other ATMs ran out of cash, this one was always stocked, like a well that never ran dry. At first, people were unsure, but then came Kwame, a small-time plantain seller. One evening, he pulled out a big stack of fresh seed ice after using the ATM. Fresh like bread from the oven, he said, smiling as he showed off the money. The news spread fast, and soon everyone who needed cash lined up at this strange ATM. But little did they know, there was something dark and dangerous about it. This is Amma, a young woman in her mid-20s, new to Abokobi. She had moved to stay with her fiancé's mother for a few weeks, hoping to learn how to be a good wife. Amma was kind and shy, and she really wanted to make a good impression on her future mother-in-law, Madame Afia, who was known for being strict and demanding. Amma's fiancé, Kojo, had asked her to stay with his mother. Although she wasn't happy about it, Amma agreed, thinking it would be good for her future. But when she arrived, Madame Afia gave her a long list of things to buy to make fufu and light soup for a big family meal. "Use the ATM by the junction," Madame Afia said. "It's quicker, and the money there is always fresh." Amma didn't think much of it at first. She nodded, but a small feeling of unease started to grow inside her. As she walked to the market, she noticed the ATM standing there, shiny and new. Something about it didn't feel right, but she pushed the feeling aside. She just wanted to do well for her future mother-in-law. Amma stood in line at the ATM, watching the people ahead of her eagerly withdraw money. When it was her turn, she slid the card into the machine. But as soon as she did, a strange feeling washed over her. Her vision blurred, and her head started spinning. Before she could even understand what was happening, she collapsed to the ground. When Amma woke up, she was lying on the cold ground of the market. People had gathered around her, whispering and pointing. Her head hurt, and everything felt blurry. She tried to sit up, but her body felt weak. "Are you okay?" some people asked, but Amma couldn't answer. Her mind was racing, trying to understand what had happened. How did she end up on the floor? Was it the ATM? She slowly stood up, feeling embarrassed. She didn't want anyone to think she was weak, but she was scared. Quickly, she dusted herself off and rushed back home. When Amma walked into the house, Madame Afia was already there, arms crossed and looking upset. "Amma, where have you been? What took you so long?" Madame Afia shouted. "Is this how you plan to be a good wife? You can't even handle a simple task like going to the market." Amma's heart sank. She didn't know what to say. She had tried her best, but now she didn't want to make things worse. She just apologized and quietly went to the kitchen to start cooking. Madame Afia handed her a list of ingredients to make fufu and light soup. She expected everything to be perfect. Amma didn't argue. She just wanted to finish it and make things right. But as she worked, her hands shook, not just from tiredness, but from the pressure to prove herself. Everything felt like it was falling apart. Hours later, Amma finished cooking. The house smelled of fresh fufu and soup, but Amma couldn't relax. She still felt like something was wrong. Madame Afia sat at the table, eating fast and hungrily. Amma stood there, watching, when she suddenly noticed her mother-in-law's face turning pale and her body shaking. A chill ran down Amma's spine. Madame Afia's cough became more violent. Before Amma could do anything, her mother-in-law collapsed on the table. Amma rushed to her, but it was too late. Madame Afia was gone. Amma stood there trembling in shock. She couldn't believe it. How could this be happening? When Kojo arrived, he was shocked. He looked at his mother's lifeless body and then turned to Amma. His face was full of anger. "What happened to her?" he asked, his voice cold. Amma tried to explain, but the words got stuck in her throat. Kojo stared at her, suspicious. "You were the last one with her. I told you. No one in my family should be hurt." Neighbors began to talk, too. Some said Amma had pushed Madame Afia. Others said Amma had just watched while her mother-in-law choked. Kojo didn't listen to Amma's explanations or her tears. His eyes were full of anger as he said, "You've brought bad luck into this house. My mother is dead and it's because of you." Without another word, he ended their relationship. He kicked Amma out of the house, leaving her with nothing. Amma stumbled out of the house, tears blurring her vision. She felt like her world had shattered into pieces. She couldn't understand what had just happened. One minute she was trying to do her best, and the next she was blamed for a death she never caused. She had nowhere to go, no family to turn to. She wasn't even allowed to pack her things properly before Kojo sent her away. All she had was a small bag of clothes and a broken heart. Amma walked through the town. The streets that had once seemed welcoming now felt empty and cruel. She knew she couldn't stay in Abokobi any longer. The curse seemed to follow her wherever she went. She felt trapped in a nightmare that wouldn't let go. When Amma finally returned to her room, her landlady was waiting for her. "Amma, you're late with your rent again. You promised last time and I've been patient," the landlady said, crossing her arms. "If you don't pay by the weekend, I'll report you. You'll be out of here." Amma was exhausted, heartbroken, and on the edge of giving up. She tried to explain everything about Kojo, about Madame Afia, but her landlady wasn't interested in her story. She just wanted the rent money. "I'll pay, I promise," Amma said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. She could feel the weight of the world pressing down on her, but the landlady wasn't moved. "You better, or leave." Amma walked to her room, still carrying her small bag. She couldn't believe what her life had become. She lay down on the bed, staring at the ceiling, lost in her own thoughts. She didn't know what to do next. All she wanted was a chance to prove herself, but everything was falling apart. The next morning, Amma heard people talking outside her window. She stepped outside, hoping for some peace, but what she saw left her frozen in shock. Her landlady, the same one who had just given her the ultimatum, was lying dead on the street. A truck had run her over the night before while she was crossing the road. Amma's stomach twisted. Her mind raced, remembering the call she had received earlier. The curse. Could it be real? 2 people dead, both linked to her. Panic set in. Amma ran back to her room and locked the door, her heart beating wildly in her chest. She couldn't stay here anymore. She couldn't stay anywhere. The curse was following her, and she had no idea how to stop it. Amma sat on the edge of the bed, shaking. Her phone rang, and she almost didn't want to answer. But the call came again, an unknown number. Her hand trembled as she picked it up. "Hello," she said, her voice shaking. "Amma." The voice on the other end was calm, but it sent a chill down her spine. "You are marked. The ATM has chosen you, and if you don't break the curse, everyone around you will die." Amma's blood ran cold. The voice explained that the ATM was cursed, and everyone who used it was marked for death. The curse could only be broken if no one used the ATM for 72 hours. Amma had to stop it. But how? How could she stop a town full of people, desperate for fresh cash, from using that ATM? Amma paced back and forth in her small room. Her heart pounded as the weight of the curse crushed down on her. 2 deaths already, and more could follow. She felt like she was drowning in the pressure. The voice on the phone had said she needed to stop the ATM from being used for 72 hours. But how could she do that? The people of Abokobi loved the ATM. It was their lifeline. The money was always fresh, and they couldn't resist the temptation. She had to think of something, and fast. Her mind raced, thinking of any plan, any way to stop people from using it. She knew that if the ATM kept dispensing money, more lives would be lost. But how could she stop a town that was desperate for cash? A bold idea hit her like a thunderclap. She'd have to make herself the barrier. Amma didn't hesitate. By dusk, she was already on her way to the ATM. She had no plan except one: to block it. She couldn't explain why, but deep down, she knew it was the only choice. She had to stop the people from using it. When she reached the ATM, she saw the usual line. People eagerly waited for their turn to pull out fresh notes. Amma stood before the machine, her heart racing, and in a flash, she threw herself onto the ground, ripping her clothes and making herself look like a madwoman. As morning came, the line had grown even longer, but there was Amma, sitting cross-legged, her hair wild, staring at them with wide eyes. The crowd froze when they saw her, confused and scared. Some stepped back, unsure of what to do. A few brave souls approached, but the moment they got close, Amma sprang up, her hand swinging a large stick she had found nearby. She shouted in a loud, frantic voice, Stay away from the machine, it's cursed! It will kill you all!" The people stared at her like she was crazy. Some laughed nervously, trying to step around her, but Amma wouldn't let them. She chased them away, screaming, "Don't touch it, don't use it, you'll die!" The crowd scattered in fear, but Amma didn't stop. She wasn't just trying to scare them. She was willing to go to any lengths to protect them, even if it meant looking insane. But not everyone was so easily frightened. A man named Mr. Mensa, known for his pride and stubbornness, walked toward the ATM with a smirk. "Mad woman," he muttered under his breath. "I'm not scared of you." Amma felt her stomach churn. This was it. This was the moment. He couldn't get to the machine. She wouldn't let him. Mr. Mensa walked right up to the ATM and started to insert his card, ignoring Amma completely. With all the anger and desperation she had inside her, Amma raised her stick high and yelled, "No, stop!" But Mr. Mensa didn't listen. He was too focused on his money. With one final burst of strength, Amma rushed forward and smashed the ATM screen with the stick. The moment the screen shattered, a terrifying scream echoed through the air. The crowd gasped in shock as dark, thick blood started to pour out of the machine, spilling all over the ground like a flood. The smell of death filled the air, making everyone step back in horror. People screamed and ran, some falling to their knees, while others threw up in disgust. Mr. Mensa stood frozen in place, his face covered in blood, his eyes wide in disbelief. Amma's heart raced. She had done it. She had destroyed the machine. But at what cost? Suddenly, a cold mist began to rise from the ATM, surrounding Mr. Mensa. The people watched in silent horror as he began to convulse, his body jerking violently. His tongue stretched out like something out of a nightmare, and with one last scream, he fell to the ground, lifeless. The ATM, now destroyed, began to disappear into the mist. The crowd stared in stunned silence as the cursed machine vanished from sight. By the time the news spread, every household in Abokobi had heard what had happened. Amma had saved them all, even though she had done it in the most extreme way possible. But as the town celebrated her bravery, there was something heavy in Amma's heart. She had fought for their lives, but she had lost so much in the process. Kojo would never forgive her. Madame Afia was gone. The curse had taken so much. Amma was honored by the town. The governor came to recognize her for her bravery. People gave her money, enough to start a new life. But as Amma stood there, surrounded by praise, she couldn't shake the regret in her heart. She wished her mother was still alive to see it. She wished she could take back the hurtful things she had said to her. The pain of losing her family was something that would never leave her. And in the distance, Kojo watched from the crowd. He had heard the truth. He had learned what really happened. The curse was real, and his mother's death was not Amma's fault. He regretted everything. How he had turned his back on her, how quickly he had blamed her. But it was too late. Amma had moved on. She had found a new life.